All right, Stash is back with you live. We had some troubles. I'm back. Tonight's topic is America and its people narcissistic. We hear this term now everywhere. Narcissistic. Let's talk about this. What do you guys think? The narcissism of the United States as it criticizes itself. Daily. Don't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and so forth. What do you think of that? Is that bad? Is not standing for certain social justice movements, is that better? Or is that, dare I say, a certain form of do-gooderness? Can you even talk about this? The city on the hill, the indispensable nation. Francis Fukuyama, the end of history and the last man. Anybody out there want to talk? Is it unpatriotic to criticize America as being narcissistic? Or maybe it isn't enough. Is there any excuse not to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Anybody out there want to talk? This is the thing I've heard. People have become self-absorbed, narcissistic. The speed of the internet. In this horrible time of the COVID-19 ongoing pandemic, people are accusing each other of not masking up, not double masking. The MAGA, M-A-G-A versus the left. The vaxxer versus the anti-vaxxer. Can't anybody discuss anything? Anybody out there? Does it possess narcissistic traits? The need to exercise soft power. There was a guy, David Nye, a long time ago. He had a book, Soft Power. Anybody out there? Anybody want to gab? Trying to get people in the chat room to talk about this. What about philanthropic stuff itself? It's like an obsession. Everything used to be, you can't go there, but it's a concert, a fundraiser, a walk. I did just see a picture of the American troops with red women's shoes, that they should understand what it's like to walk like a woman. I don't know. I guess it was a real thing. What are your thoughts on this? And then the Fox News does the thinking, or the different right-wing outlets and the left-wing outfits, news, media services. They do their thing. And they sort of do the talking for people. As far as I know, right now, fictional media, for the first time, it seems to be being matched by actual political talk, although it's sort of dying down. That's not social distancing. Of course, we do the best we should to abide by the rules, but there's story after story of each person passionately disagreeing with the other. And you may have heard of a book called The Fourth Turning. It was, to my mind, sort of a pop version of controversial philosopher, author before World War II, Oswald Spengler. He did die. Spengler penned a book called The Death of the West. That the nation is young, passionate, vibrant. It grows older and older, and then it reaches a twilight period, and then it dies off. I think he was of the opinion that the West itself was on its way out. Anybody out there want to gab about America as a narcissistic nation? Its people are sort of experiencing that, the whole idea of the internet selfie, the Instagram, things of that nature. Do they put too much of a premium on youth and beauty? No doubt. And people can people can vlog and blog. And, that, of course, brings with it an attention-seeking thing. Maybe I'm a hypocrite because I'm on here tonight attempting to get people to chat with me. I don't know. But it seems that everything in the Western world lends itself to a narcissistic, self-enveloped world. And the epidemic and the isolation seems to have not stopped that, because people are now living online. So they have an online identity, an avatar, a Facebook page, Twitter account. And even those are politicized. I think the one that's the mere opposite of Twitter, called Parler, is down now for whatever reason. So where am I going with this? Where does this ongoing pandemic, which seems to be rising again in Europe, still, I'm seeing on YouTube a lot of interesting videos about personal narcissistic activities or people. What about the entire country? We're better than that. We're better than that. What are the different sayings now? Okay, it was make America. What was it? Make America first, and now we have bring back better again, or something like that. Very interesting. Anybody out there want to chat? I am on. I am ready to chat. I've got one listener. Jump in. What do you think? I have I am live now, OW. Jump in. Very interesting. Gentlemen, OW. Putting some comments down. Jump in, OW, if you hear. Jump in the chat. He knows about the Rosicrucian movement. And fan of Dark Shadows. Hey, Pedro, what's up? Talking about America as a narcissistic entity. Do you think it's gone too far? How have you been? How are you doing? You're up there in Canada, right? Hey, I've got a number 3. Everybody jump in. No, then I lost somebody. These YouTube things, man, if you don't go on every night, there's nobody to chat with. Is it bold of me to bring up this Decline and Fall of the West by Oswald Spengler? I'm sure it's something. What can I say, really? Everybody is, at least as the media and everywhere, it's just we're a nation of, oh, cool. Sorry about your phone. I'm not taking any sides here, okay? But this is just, the news is just accusations now. Such and such celebrity has called out somebody else. Somebody has said something, you know? And, you know, it's getting weird, you know? Getting very weird. I mean, that's the news, you know? So, and then they've said this horrible thing. And I'm not even going to tell which group is the one who's supposed to be that does evil. You know, one is bad and the other is not. And it's just, this is no longer can be said, and this book can't be read. As if everybody can't make up any kind of decision. Nobody's rational. They have to be, you know. All right, I'll use the Dr. Seuss thing. I guess there was something bad about Dr. Seuss. What is that? Or are they going to take this rant down? When, you know, there's never any meaningful discussion about, you know, a reduction in some military spending and deployment, endless deployment of troops. Never. There's always glad to change the subject if somebody has said something about somebody. How about maybe not bombing them? Right? Has anybody, it doesn't get down to that. Ask anybody about it, they'll just go no. And when there's a one administration, it blames the previous party for the other one's sins. Incredible. What do the Democrat and Republican Party have in common? Probably some serious narcissism. How do you say that, Pedro? How's it going up there? And what are you going to be allowed to read? You know, talk about Fahrenheit 451 or the Ray Bradbury thing. I mean, I can remember when I was in university, there was a good student, and they were complaining that we can't read Ulysses by James Joyce. Why? I don't know. I mean, really. What is the point? If you go to the university and you say, I'm just here to stamp out hatred or something. Well, what? I don't know. Crazy. But again, never any real. I've never seen one person who's into this stamping out of hate thing bring up endless troop deployments. I haven't. Who is Tom McDonald? Put the link right in there. I'm sure his vlog's probably got his shit together. I do mine the old-fashioned way with no frills. If you ever notice any of these ones people listen to, it is something offensive that gets a lot of attention. Somebody will get on and say something about that, or it will be a tutorial on like relationships. Like I just saw one woman who had also my style of just throwing it on, no editing, horrible, and she's like, "What women crave" or something, and it was all right. I mean, I dig it. Well, like I said, there's about 500 videos directly about narcissism. I'm talking about narcissism as a general problem and the problem of the United States, kind of a manifestation of warmongering foreign policy and the indispensable nation, the city on the hill, the great city. Again, Francis Fukuyama, the end of history and the last man. We're doing it right here. We're doing it right. And now the tech people, they are doing it right, you know. Interesting. Yeah, see, they've saying this woke thing, and that's interesting too. You're woke. As if that's almost like another version of the end of history and the last man. You're woke, therefore you know what's up. That's the end. Don't have to negotiate and live with anybody. You're just woke. And I'm not saying anything's bad about woke. I'm sure they bring up some cool things, but it's like at the end. Once you're woke. And then now also the flip side of this narcissistic thing, it's the other side that's against the United States and everything it stands for and the Constitution. They're all right. You know, what was the name of that? The autonomous place in Seattle. Fake woke. I like that. Fake woke. Francis Fukuyama, The End of History and the Last Man. Does it come down to it's a giant high school. It is. It's really a giant. America has become a giant high school. Nobody can debate anything. Dare I say that the popular kids are the hipsters, I guess, the ones who would be in line with what the popular people are doing. I mean, at least they used to have some type of debate, sort of. You know, they would have a talk, and guys, and now it's just, I mean, there are some, but I mean, the money to be made from goodness, philanthropic organizations, huge. It's even been admitted that they pocket a lot of the money. Pocket a lot of the money. They get caught all the time. Every corporation, every person. How many have you ever heard some football star not can they speak 5 minutes about and then not talk about some kind of philanthropic thing, some illness or something? Alan Watt. Was he a conspiracy pundit guy, or was he actually the guy that talks about mushrooms and shit? That's interesting. He sounds familiar. Contrary to proper belief, and anybody who tunes into this channel, haha, ghosted himself. Ah, maybe. I wonder if I know that guy. Does he have like a beard or something? I don't know. Interesting. But what the hell was I saying? Yeah, this. So now, what is next? I mean, they're talking about the free speech, the First Amendment. So therefore, you can't have free speech, and that there is, we're under a certain emergency, and so therefore that should go away. Okay, but and then what? Then who decides what will replace that? Who decides who decides how it gets diminished? You're going to have a court case or something? Goes back to the problem that we are in the fourth turning, and we're on the older side of it, which fourth turning seems to be basically a guy took the Spangler. And where did he learn it from? I don't know. I'm sure he found it from someplace else. And I can just hear somebody right now. You're talking about this old German guy, therefore he is a European dead Caucasian male. I can't reference that. Okay. So then, therefore, what you have to get a talking head from a CNN thing, and if you don't like them, of course, you're not quite as hip. So then, if you don't have a Fox News guy, or now they have One American News, or whatever, or another one, then you don't have anybody. Yes. Attempt to cancel Western culture. Which OW, that would be the great work, ironically, right? As far as you were commenting, OW has made some cool comments today on this YouTube channel. And he was talking about, or he or she was talking about the Rosicrucian movement. And I have only read Owen. How you doing, Owen? I like that author Yates, who talks a bit about that Rosicrucian movement. And on some of my weird YouTubes, I went through my John D phase. As far as I'm concerned, is the Francis Yates, yes. The essential figure in the Rosicrucian to me is John D. And I tend to regard a lot of those occultist stuff as most practically political, So a lot of people will say those are the masters, they are the ascended master, they are this, they are that, they're the secret societies. But it's you agree. So it's just a way of it's guys who study in secret how to master the political scene. And I do think that during very bad time periods, such as before World War II, people start talking about the lore. The Frankfurt School. Or in Manhattan, it's the New School. Yeah. Most of the discussions about this stuff are pretty limited, as you well know, and I have a lot of gonzo crap on this channel, and it seems to get all wrapped up in just a few guys. Like oh, you know what? I'm not sure if I remember who William Penn is. Swardenberg. You know, I am more. The only way I've been exposed to the latter guy. Oh, is he one of those guys that thought that the world was going to end and they would go up in trees? End of the world thing. Why am I thinking that? Emanuel Sveldenberg. I think one thing about those type of groups is there does tend to be a group of people at the top that they have been exposed to training, some kind of training. Bill Cooper. I think he was in the military. William Penn met with Emanuel Sveldenberg's father. I briefly read some of that about him. Take care, Pedro. What do you call it? Gary Lackman writes a lot. He just had one about the occultism of Russia. And he was the guy who's OTO. He was once an OTO member and the bass player Blondie. And he goes into Swendenberg. Am I pronouncing his name right? I probably even made more of about Adam Weishaupt than him. But yeah, he's pretty influential. Yeah. But, Owen, you might agree. Most of the conversations that go into any of this stuff are dominated by, David Icke or something. Well, actually, I've got nothing against him, but it's just like, if you want to rap with somebody, they haven't really even read more than I have, Yeah. He breaks it down. He breaks it down for you. He's pretty good on Young. Yeah. Yeah, he's seen as this outsider, and let's say you are a paranoid super libertarian or paranoid guy. I mean, David Icke was a what do you call it? He was a soccer guy. He was well, they call it football, right? The esoteric analysis. All right, I dig it. We'll have Bill Cooper night. The rapper guys are really into Bill Cooper. Big time. A lot of guys in prison read Bill Cooper. He's huge there. Anyway, I love the Queen. I do crack up. He played soccer and he got arthritis. Yeah, he definitely did. But oh yeah, no, but he was a commentator. He was in the media. He was in the media in some form, so people act like whatever. And then I remember seeing that he was on a talk show and he said, "I'm God" or something, or "I'm just as relevant as Jesus," or something like that. Which is to the title of this YouTube tonight. It's the David Icke would fit into the Western narcissistic thing, right? Because it's by definition saying that the Illuminati, or the secret societies of the West, are the best, sort of, and they control everything. We assume that could be, but what about the giant ones in the Asian world? All the martial arts clubs and whatever they have. Come on. Who can say? He was funny on that. He's like, I have the power. But the way his books, he was just a genius to just basically, to David Icke seems to me that he goes into a dozen London New Age bookshops and he just read everything and he put it in a huge manual, and it's just he's just digesting it. The trouble is, and I think you might agree, Owen, that unfortunately and painfully so, it's too simple. It's just he gives that idea that when he's interesting, so he gives an idea that you go problem, reaction, solution, or something like that, Hegelian dialectic, and yeah, that you're talking about something that's extremely difficult, to comprehend. David Icke is a Freemason. That's interesting. What I learned from Alan. Alan Watt? Okay. All these guys look like they're in that, though, because they, they're into it. They know the lingo. The guy, is it Alan Moore? He's a comic book man, or graphic novel, as they would say these days. And he read Stephen Knight, and he has that From Hell giant comic book thing, and he's critiquing it, but he certainly looks like he's involved in that, or he says he's a magic man. What I found out, and what you can see from my tons of YouTubes, is shockingly they all repeat a lot of the same stuff, and it's Crowley. Crowley comes down to Crowley. A lot about Crowley. Maybe because he released some of their secrets, or he was just interesting. He was the father of Barbara Bush. I get that a lot on here. Oh, they do a lot of Alice Bailey. I think I did a review of her on the Thought Forums. I think so. Or was that Anne Bissett or something like that? Yeah. Let's take it easy, Pedro. Have a good night, man. What was I going to say? But he hit the ball out of the park when he did the reptilian thing, and it became a cult phenomenon for a while. And so he was bold enough to do that, and there's a lot of people who believe it. I mean, I've done YouTubes with scary music, and I do hear from a lot of people. Yes, she was of the Theosophical Society. The thought forms is very interesting. I did do a critique on that. You can kind of see that Madison Avenue advertising and other things, or tons of pop music, rap music, hip hop music does definitely allude to some of these teachings, and now they've really, over the more recent years, have really kind of played into it. I mean, it's because there's definitely, as much as people want to make fun of Ike or any of these guys, they've got a popularity. And the Jay-Z or any of them, any number of them, huge stars, they definitely cover the eye, and they definitely do the the triangle, and they do the hook 'em horn, and so what they're up to, I think it just plays into. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't add 10 to 20% of sale. I mean, they don't even have CDs anymore, but just to the lure of they do it, and we are of the record company, we are of Hollywood, and you buy our stuff, and we are the Illuminati, which we the people, we don't even know if that's the name of it. We assume, and they have these hand mudras, and they're like, this is that, and they do know the masses want it. And you're left with the idea that that they are in all those groups, of course. Because networking. What does IMOHO stand for, man? I don't know the acronyms. In my honest opinion, yes. Definitely. I mean, there's no doubt that was one of the many sectors that Joe Rogan pulled into his massive audience. One is authors. One is the mixed martial arts, boxing as well, and fight stories, stand-up comedy stories. The new Macho Man would be the new strong man is the MMA. And I think his greatest thing is he gets the authors on. And if you look at his top views before he migrated to Spotify, it's Jones himself, Alex Jones, Elon Musk, and I don't even know if the comics go up as high. He has Bill Burr on. I don't know. He is. He's got a lot of that. That's interesting. And his hugest thing is his lifestyle, that you do kettlebells. and you do things that blow your mind. I tell you the truth. I like Elon Musk. I do. I don't. A lot of people, because of his success, he's a living Tony Stark, and I'm not even a huge fan of that comic book stuff as much as I was. I think I was when I was a kid. I liked it, whatever. But I've seen him on, and I'll tell you why. For one thing, I did see him on a good debate with Jack Ma. I've got nothing against Jack Ma, the Chinese billionaire man. But I do believe that he questions his own stuff. On the one hand, Musk is doing something, and his cars are the future. It's good, His stock is up. He does talk up his stock. That's aggressive, maybe not, maybe shady, somewhat, but he says what he thinks. He's not afraid to go on, and he's, for science that is interesting for mankind. Get out here, get to Mars. But here's why I like him. When he was in that interview with Jack Ma, he does question that the AI will go too far. So he is working on it. It is his passion, but he does seem to have some sense of a warning on this. So he is of the same heritage as Tesla himself. So he's a maverick, but I've seen him question the idea of quote unquote the singularity of putting actual inorganic materials and technology in your body, and that it is a risk. So he has it on his radar. So that's paradoxical. So he's contributing to the problem, obviously, but he's aware of it. And he's gone ahead and he and Apple and maybe some of these few of these handful of companies are keeping the United States relevant, Other than that, we're 43rd in education. We're banging down the door of mediocrity. We're on the old age of the fourth turning, man. But interesting enough, before they took off a lot of these YouTubes, I was enjoying just unknown dudes like me. But I don't know. You don't see as that much as that now. I guess so. The YouTubeization of the giantism of this platform kind of took away from. I'm not seeing as many schmucks like me, in other words, on here. Just rapping with guys like you guys. You know what I mean? I used to like that. This doesn't seem to be as much. And Rogan probably contributed to that because his shows were so interesting and he does them very well. So, maybe people just stop with that. But also, admittedly, we're going into the nasty topics that some people went in. I think some of the popularity of people talking on here was basically weird people. I don't know. What do you think of Musk? Sorry about that diatribe. Him and Joe Rogan are awesome and interesting guys, but I would say they would add into the American narcissistic goodiness. I should almost I'm going to change this to chat with OW. OW. What do you think of Elon? I'm going to change the topic of this to random chat. I mean, I'll be right back. Cosmans versus Terrans. He is smart, and he's capitalistic smart, and he turns his brains into making rockets. There's another major spokesman for the smart world would be Dr. Michio Kaku from Japan, who's a futurist. A different kind of futurist than the old school guys like Alan Toffler. He's a physicist, and his stuff is amazingly fascinating. That there are superior beings that do exist, aliens, if you will, and they're just so much more advanced than we are that they don't give a shit. He does talk about that, and it's so when people say there's no such thing as aliens, I mean, apparently the highest physicist in this country that this country has to offer, or the West or whatever has to offer, completely apparently believe in it. If you look up Dr. Michio Kaku, can't think of any of his book titles. I'm sure he's been on Joe Rogan though. That's a huge point. Are we more advanced than we seem? That's a typical conversation you'll get into somebody when they'll say we have tremendous space age weaponry and different things hidden in Groom Lake and Area 51, that they have anti-gravity things, that we have the technology of the aliens, stargates, and incredible stuff. And therefore, for instance, the Russians wouldn't have a chance if we whipped out the real stuff and blast them. This is a very, very interesting debate. Or of the weaponry, for instance, that we know about. Many guys will say that the Russians are light years behind the F-35 fighter, and that's it. Very interesting point about the moon. Yeah, that would lend us. In other words, if that type of Groom Lake Area 51 hidden technology, then evidently, let's just say there are certain neoliberals, neoconservatives that would be very interested in making certain people disappear. And they're still here. As far as I know, Kim Jong-il, North Korea, Vladimir Putin. So then why didn't they go to the Groom Lake and charge up the Stargate and suck Putin through it or something? I don't know. And there we go. Another brilliant point from OW. But we cannot routinely go back and forth to the moon at will. So see, if I wanted to get any subscribers more on this YouTube, I would do a title and just say, we're going to talk about Stargates tonight. So you see these little YouTubes, they'll have I got 2,000 subscribers. I don't know what that even means. They'll have 4,000. Be a guy come on his couch with a beard and go to Stargates, blah, blah, blah. And if they commit to it, they're going to get a lot of people. And they'll go, you don't know what you're talking about. If you look at propaganda sources that are against the United States, that are on this thing, Russia Today or any of those type of things, they'll have a guy on, go, the F-35 fighter's a piece of shit, and the SU fighter, next generation was better, blah, 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 blah. But, and I love that kind of stuff. And there you go, right? There we go. We go back to Joe Rogan again. He had the F-18 pilot on, F-18 pilot. He's got a picture in they released it, they've got footage of a genuine object that seems to be unidentified. A lot faster. And they got the F-18. Then we'll talk about the American military budget is so much more vast, so therefore we can kick ass. You know? I don't know. Yes, that's what I was talking about. These culture and identity political wars are real way. Go to my title of the narcissistic nature. This type of stuff of solving every problem, every feeling, is troubling. Yeah, right. Very easily, the GDP alone of countries like India and China is just going to sail by. Or is it? How about this, OW? That's not even matters because there's the group of people from all these countries that have the sufficient IQ to be involved in certain things, go beyond borders and stuff, you know? Yeah, America doesn't have any culture. It never really did. Exactly. There used to be a neighborhood thing, but I don't have anything to say against any political movement or any civil rights movement, but I think that you know you have to have a unified flag and a national anthem song and a pledge of some kind. And there's a lot of people with a lot of influence and a lot of young people that are really very much not into that now, from what I can tell. I also think there's at least, from what I can tell, a complete balkanization. Yeah, fractured society. It's that. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be looking good. And in a sense, there's a feeling that the tech itself is going to solve it or something, and I don't know about that. And the markets are going to solve it. You know, the markets can be regulated, balkanized. That you know, the media itself and the markets will have stories of how they'll talk about it. You know, how America is overcoming of the fucked upization. I don't know how much they really care about it. You know, there's just people with you know, they said there was the death of the nation state and now about 2 years ago I read about the globalization graveyard. I forget the name of the author. Now they're talking about it was years and years that globalization was everything, the death of everything nationalistic and now they're saying that's over. And the EU is still lasting, but so I don't know. I just don't know. I'm glad some chart got going. I didn't think anybody was talking about anything. I wonder if I should change the title of this damn thing. You know what? I think I'm going to change the title of this YouTube to Total Fractured Society. Going to steal some shit from OW here. That's what we got now. I mean, and there's no end to it. There's no anything I talked about. Oh, that's not good. No. It's just one big accusation. And if you're not in really, there's more prejudice than ever now, because what we have now, and what we sort of alluded to in this chat tonight, is just the famous class. Really, the famous class. You are one of these things. You have the 300 million followers, or whatever it is, and you're with that or you're not, and it's clear. I think some people thought there's been some type of democratization because you can get on YouTube. What is that? And so it's more than ever. You are either an influencer, whatever the hell that is, or you're just not. And they do the speaking for a large amount of people. Total balkanization, total ridiculousness, and now they won't even give a shot at debating them either, and they know it. Europe is maybe even farther along into this total balkanization thing. Crazy. Pedro was in tonight. I'll do a thing about Bill Cooper another night. I just wonder if I'll get thrown out. I'm already demonetized. Yeah, I mean, U.S. could go. The thing about the U.S. is we could catch up with them any night this week, though. If there's another some type of tipping point thing, we could really just go into a thing. I don't think it's. I mean, especially if it's a hot summer. If this is a hot summer, and God forbid, something happens, a certain person in some city. In fact, it's not inconceivable that you could have in New York in the east and LA out where you could have a incident, spillover, and it could just not stop. I mean, they did show that they just had the spring break, and they could not contain the partiers, so very hard to say. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, dude. Great talking to OW. I will be back on soon. I will try to give you a shout. The fractured society was a good topic tonight. This is Stosh, over and out, my friend. Great to talk to you, brother.